Mabuhay, Kamusta. Welcome. How are you? This is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea. As I said yesterday in what was supposed to be a short kind of a promo video, since I haven't done a live stream in probably a year or so, was that I wanted to think about doing a live stream, and that would start today. It's going to be called "The Type of Man a Filipina Falls in Love with." And I'll explain why that's important. And then we'll get into this live stream tonight. Now, I can I can have 2, 3, 4 hour live streams like everybody else. I just don't know that those are very interesting, and they can be kind of tiring to do. But for your sake, I'm going to try. If I get to doing these live streams again, is to keep them short. And by short, I mean, I don't know, an hour or less. Phil Phoenix, John, thank you for being there. Maayan Boon Tag. Uh, and what's the Tagalog version? Well, you got me in the spot here. Uh, Magandang gabi. Good evening. It's 5 p.m. Central Time here in the United States of America. And John will be here to contribute as he sees fit, and also to bounce people if needed. And I want to talk about this because my channel, Love Beyond the Sea, I want to keep this focused. I want to keep it on what's important to the guys out there that I want to reach, and that is finding love overseas. Doesn't have to be a Filipino. In my case, John's case was a Filipina. And yes, John, I do have a bandana that I I picked up when we went to Sturgis, South Dakota. This is a bona fide, real bandana. Sturgis, South Dakota, home of the big motorcycle rally. We were there last year before it got cold. I don't know when, maybe September, October, and beautiful weather, Mount Rushmore. But we went by. I used to live in Sturgis for about a year, believe it or not. That makes me even more authentic, although I don't own a motorcycle. And but this is from Sturgis, South Dakota, and I wanted to wear it tonight. So the type of man Filipina falls in love with. There's a lot of different types of guys that she could fall in love with, and I like to think my Filipino wife fell in love with me. Now, I can't be everything. I can't have all the good aspects that a man would have, but I did take the time to pull out a lot of adjectives, terms that would describe the type of man that a Filipina would fall in love with. I'm trying to help men get married, not be single anymore, but get married. And so, in order to do that, you have to know certain things in order to keep the marriage strong and viable. And I've got over 700 videos, by the way. I've got, and you can see those on YouTube, but also that link there says my new website, lvbts.com. Mr. E put that together for me. Everything related to the channel is there. Podcasts are there. So you can see in the second link, Casting Beyond the Sea podcasts, and then a way to subscribe to the podcast on Podbean. That is the third link there. And then I'm going to talk about kind of man a Filipina falls in love with today. And so I appreciate everybody that is here really early. I'm going to try to make this snappy, and haven't decided how I'm going to do live streams yet, but I don't want hour and 2 live streams. I mean, I would if there was always somebody there to talk about serious stuff, since I am serious, and your time is valuable. So I want to make this snappy. So what I want to do tonight is I want to say my piece about the type of man Filipina falls in love with. And I'll talk about probably some people she doesn't fall in love with. And I'll try to explain my position. And while I do that, I'll try to move through it as swiftly as I can. But while I do that, please feel free to leave a comment I want to say my piece. That way, if somebody isn't interested later on in any questions or comments or what happens after that, they can just watch I call it the upload version of it, and then they can split. But for anybody that wants to interact live, we can do that right here after I say what I will say. And so we'll try to get this done in an hour or less, but we'll just see how it goes. I'm just going to say what I have to say, then I will check back here and try to respond to as many comments as I can, and we'll see if we can get this done in an hour. We'll see. Depends how it goes. Like I said, I've kind of disappeared from from live streams. I wasn't going to do any more until I got to 1,000, and I didn't have near 704 at the time I made that decision. But my life situation has changed somewhat, and I need to get some comments, some interaction. I want to keep fanning the flames of love beyond the sea, no pun intended. And I've got about 90 some podcasts over there. You can check those out on various podcast outlets. And I've got lots of videos, lots of topics to come, might even do some live streams, but I really would like to have some interaction. I'm easy to talk to. I can, I'm not much embarrasses me to talk about. So, we can talk about what's important to you. Whether you're somebody that has never thought about being involved with a Filipina or not. And please be a part of this channel and subscribe and get notifications to Love Beyond the Sea. Let people know about it. I'm probably one of the few voices out there of people saying, well, yes, why aren't you married? You should be married. Marriage is a good thing. I was 53 years old before I got married, felt like 100, and I got married, and it's been wonderful. We've been married now 5 years and 9 months. Unbelievable. And so that's what I want. I want you to know your life is moving fast. Time waits for no one. What we do with that time is critical. And if I had known I could have married a Filipina in less than 8 weeks, I might not have waited till I was 53. I didn't know how that worked. Just trying to share my experiences over 5 years and 9 months of marriage. And we've only known each other less than 2 months more than that. Almost all the time I've known this woman, we've been married. And so, John, I can relate to the changing life circumstances. And so mine did change. And so I'm not a liar. I don't feel like I'm going back against my word. I was getting pretty run down and tired, and I was finding it hard to get necessarily here on time when I had to be for this. Things have changed. I won't go into too much detail about that. I'll let everybody speculate and make things worse than they really are. But here we go. Please leave comments as I go. I'm going to talk about the type of man that a Filipina falls in love with. Some would answer the question, what kind of man does a Filipina fall in love with something sarcastic like, of course, the man who has money, or the kind who lives in America, or maybe even the kind who is old and about to die. That isn't what I have in mind for this live stream. Those scenarios depict 3 situations a guy could be in, but they don't reveal anything about the type of man a Filipina falls in love with. A Filipina, woman from the Philippines, or anyone seeking to scam someone is not looking for a certain quality about a man's behavior. They're looking for a situation to take advantage of for their own gain. Even me, being married 5 years, 9 months, learning, growing, it's never easy. Nothing worth having ever is easy. And so I want to teach about these sorts of things. You can take it or leave it. I do try to, talk from a biblical perspective. Some will say, oh, yeah, you've been married 5 years and 9 months. So what? Your wife still going to leave you. That's easy to say. Um, and I'm here to show in my videos what you do to, make sure that that is not something that's going to happen. I am going to talk about the kind of man Filipina falls in love with and wants to marry and take good care of all the days of her life. Is that even possible? Aren't all women the same? Narcissistic, jaded, unspiritual, worldly, feministic. Many men seem to think so. I believe it is possible for a Filipina to love a Westerner, and that includes an age gap, which we do have here, me and my wife, 27 years, that many men are loving their Filipinas, and those women are content and happy to be their wives. It does happen, but it doesn't happen by accident. Is it a necessity for the man to be 6 feet tall? What about to have six-pack abs? Being tall is nice, but essentially it just means that he's tall. Having six-pack abs has nothing to do with, I guess, whether he has a six-pack brain or a six-pack heart. What about having a six-figure salary? Well, does it help if someone calls you a mop head like me? In other words, does having a full head of hair make a difference? Or can you be bald and still win the affection of a woman from the Philippines? Let's start with this. And again, please, I'm not ignoring you, but if you want to listen, that's great. You want to leave comments, that's great. I will go back. I'll try to answer them. I'm going to try to move this quickly. It's Friday. People have things to do. And so I want to keep this to an hour or less, if possible. We'll see how it goes. I'll start with this one. The kind who has money. Some say it's all about the money. Show me the money. No money, no honey. This makes it sound like a Filipina would be quite happy with the man who beats her, bosses her around. I mean, as long as he has money, right? Two of her biggest fears are that she'll be beaten and maybe controlled like a slave. I think this is a big cop-out of an excuse for men who maybe don't have a lot of means. You can only do so much about your earning potential in life and how old you are, but there are no limits on the type of man you can become, and keep learning from your mistakes, because just like me, you're going to make some. Personality matters. Your personality. You don't have to be, a comedian. You just, need to have certain things about your personality that appeal to her, that makes her feel comfortable with you. Your outlook on life, I think that kind of fits with personality. Your outlook on life matters too. For example, if a man, let me get rid of these annoying notifications that are going to force their way on the scene no matter what. But if a man comes across as being negative, complains a lot, makes excuses, tries to control a woman, or maybe isn't interested in meeting her physical needs, especially if she's younger, then that man is going to spend the rest of his life alone, even if he is married. There's nothing wrong about having a lot of money. The Bible says the love of money, not having money or possessing money, is the root of all kinds of evil. Not the love of money is the root of all evil. That is not what it says. It says the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. It leads to all kinds of sinful deeds. Greed for money, that's sinful. The Bible does not say it is sinful to be rich. God made Solomon rich. In his time, he may have been the wisest and wealthiest man alive. Didn't always make the best decisions, though. Interestingly, his money didn't have a part in his downfall. It was that he married, the type of women, yes, plural, he was commanded not to, and they took over his heart. His money didn't keep his marriages together. He had no shortage of that. And the women weren't gold diggers either. I doubt they had much of a choice to marry a man who had 700 wives, 300 concubines. There are men with a lot of wealth who treat their women like dirt. I doubt the women are overwhelmed with the thought of his assets as he roughs them up. A woman who falls for a man just because he is wealthy is foolish. Filipinas have heard the stories of women getting abused by their wealthy Western husbands. I don't think they're eager to be next in line. I don't think a Filipina marries a man simply because he is rich. I don't think she falls in love with him either. She falls in love with who he is, not what he has. What he has is not going to satisfy her. While you are dating, you should try to discern if she is looking to marry a type of man or a type of man with a man with a type of bank account. A Filipina will likely be looking for a foreigner to help her and her family. I think you can just mark that one down. That is something you'll just need to accept. I think a good Filipino wife is worth it, even if she is sending, a lot of money back home. A good Filipina candidate to marry is probably more interested in her own ability to work for her family back home than in your ability to provide for her family. Early on in my relationship with my wife, and then when we made it official and got married, and it was time for me to do the right thing and start sending her money, she'd say, "Oh no, I'm okay, hon. I'll be all right. I got enough food to eat, clothes to wear, and so on." And I'm still trying to, then and even now, sometimes trying to let her know, "Sweetie, it's okay. I am your husband. I relish to provide for you. That's what I want to do. So please allow me to." My wife considers it her responsibility, not mine, to help her family. Now, I certainly want to help her family. She pretty much is obligated to help too. I think there is a lot of family pressure in the Philippines from Filipinas, and I think she knows that. An exception I can see is if the two of you have a family together, you have children. Then she can say that this new family unit comes first and mean it. Now, my wife is planning on starting college here to get a 2-year business degree. And obviously, since I love her, I'm nervous for her, but I'm excited because when my little woman puts her mind to it, she can get things accomplished. So I want to be encouraging her. I want to help her, and see to it that she can, do it and not be discouraged. Because I'd like to see her accomplish that. It'll help her with her job. We don't know how long we're going to stay here. She may stay here with me until I die, or not. We could be in the Philippines in 3 or 4 or 5 years. Who knows? That's just it. We don't know, but we know a little more now than we did 5 years ago. So we've decided, she wants to get the schooling, and I'm okay with that. And she may be able to use it for a long time. She may be able to use it in the Philippines too. So my wife is very, I don't know, not aggressive, but she wants to do things. She wants to get things accomplished. And so that's something she's always thought about in the early days. And I know she's always wanted to work. Before I married her, she said she wants to work She wants to work where I work, which she did for a while. And now she wants to improve her situation there. So we'll see. I think that's going to be very excited. She's helping us out a little bit more financially these days. A Filipina can fall in love with a man who is generous in helping with money, helping with acts of kindness, generous with positivity. Remember that. I think being generous is more appealing to a Filipina than a man who is rich. That's my opinion. And let me know how you feel about that. I'm going to quickly come over here, see if I can work through this quickly. Yeah, John, Cindy, you met 6 months before we got married. We got married really, really fast. Thank you for the thumbs up, by the way. Got good friends, Philam couples, married 25 plus years. Well, got to get married a little bit young to be married for 25 plus years. I certainly hope to do that. I wish we had gotten married earlier, but we didn't. That wasn't God's plan. That's not the way it worked out. I just want to take every day, do the best I can with my amazing Isa. And we have friends too. They haven't been married 25 years. They haven't been married. I mean, they might be someday, but that's good. Actually, I do have one friend of ours that's been married. Oh boy, probably what, early 90s? Is that 20 years? So yeah, probably about that length of time, 3 children. And so we do know that too. In fact, this gentleman was the first man I ever knew that had a Filipino wife. And they communicated by the old-fashioned way, mail. And that must have taken a while, probably took a month or 2 to communicate, but they got married, been married about 20 years, 3 kids. And we've had them over to our place. We've been over their place. We've been out to an Asian restaurant. So it's nice to have relationships with other Philam couples. It just shows you that they it can be done. Father Wolves, thank you for being here. Glad to see you here tonight. I didn't die or anything. I didn't go to jail. I just didn't do any live streams. As I said, I wanted to avoid that till I get to 1,000, because I didn't have 1,000 subscribers, so I couldn't even do a post announcing it. And I was very kind of tired and getting discouraged, and not with the channel or trying to help men find and be with their love beyond the sea. But the situation has changed. I thought, well, let's just see if we can kind of do the live streams quicker and faster. Maybe we do one every couple of weeks. Dee, thank you for being here, and I appreciate that comment. That's what I want to do. I want to give useful information. For those of you that are married, great. I hope there's something in my marriage I share with you that can help. Let me know one way or the other. If you're not married, you're not looking at a Filipina, but you're thinking about it, you don't want to be single the rest of your life, and you shouldn't, then maybe this channel, podcast, can have some appeal to you and be helpful to you. Now, I want to move on to the type of man who lives in America. This is a type of man a Filipina falls in love with. He lives in the West. He lives in the good old US of A. For one thing, this woman, Filipina, will be flying a very long way from everything and everyone she has ever known. That is difficult. Intense homesickness happens for a reason. Now, Filipinas, as you know in my videos, are resilient and adaptable. Everybody says that, and it's true. But she is making the kind of move I would think most men would not want to do if maybe the shoe was on the other foot. I mean, it's a big inconvenience in more ways than one. Yes, she might be going to a first world country, but when family is so important to you, and you are away from them for perhaps the first time, this is a major challenge. And I do have a video on that, probably maybe even a live stream. I know I got a podcast on that. Check out those links I put there over on the side, and maybe check those out if you are interested. Now, the winters here in Nebraska are a shock to her system. They will be right away. My wife's probably used to it. I did a video of her a couple weeks ago of her out in the snow doing snow angels. And at that time, I think we had a record. I didn't read the article, but it said we had record snowfall. So I'm guessing we had in the vicinity of 16 inches of snow that day. I had to push the snow off the deck 3 times. And it's kind of continued to come down about every other day since then. We might be getting 3 inches today, and this weekend may be the coldest on record over in Omaha. So it's just, and it's going to be cold for another week. It's one of those times where your car never warms up. Even if you go to the store and leave it running, you come back in, it's still cold. But she can get used to that, this weather. And she may find the people here in America, although I think we're really nice in the Midwest, but she might find the people not as likable, maybe kind of rude, always in a hurry. She will find out how expensive it is to live here, even in the conservative Midwest. My wife is always shocked to see how much tax is taken out of her paychecks. Well, there's not much we can do about that. We have been together here since 2016, and I don't think my wife wants to spend the rest of her life here. Don't know why she would. She wants to enjoy and take advantage of what she can, like the schooling and working. But everyone she is closest to, other than me, is in the Philippines. Every Filipina is different, but unless she has a family with a Westerner, I don't know why she would want to stay in this country after I die. I would much rather sell everything if we can and go to the Philippines and die there. And as you've seen in my retirement videos, invest myself into her and her family, the channel, get to meet people, hopefully be involved in a church over there. It all comes down to, medical care. While her new country offers some benefits, they may not be enough to overcome being away from the Philippines. Again, if I can have proper medical care, I prefer that we be in the Philippines. Roosters, barking dogs, heat, and all. By the way, I think somebody across the street really does have a rooster here. I'm not joking here, because it crows about all the time I'm outside. It might crow once, it might crow 3 times or 4 or 5 times in a row, and I think it's a real rooster. And not sure how the neighbors feel about that, or even why somebody has it. But even my mom, who lives with us here, thinks it's a real rooster. So a little bit of home flavor over here. Now, how about this? This has to be on the list, right? The type of man Filipina falls in love with, the kind who is about to die. Some women will marry a much older man she knows isn't likely to live a lot longer, and sure, it would be for his money. But that is not all Filipinas. And really only God knows when someone will die. I mean, he might look like he's on his last legs and last another 20 years. Some people are just very hardy, have a great immune system. My father died at 55. I am 59 now. My sister died at 53. So you just don't know. Only God knows when someone will die. At 59, there have already been a lot of people I have known from work that I worked with who are no longer alive. It's a very sobering, uncomfortable thought. If the Filipina is marrying for love, she will want her husband to be around a long time. I've had my wife say that. She wishes we would have been able to get married younger or earlier. Now, the 27 years of age gap, that's kind of hard to do unless she means, 3 or 4 or 5 years earlier. But, like it's a little more problematic then. Yeah, wouldn't it be nice if we'd both be 30 or something? That would be heaven to me. But I was 53 and she was 26. And yes, I think we both wish we could be together longer. It is common for Filipinos to believe that they are only meant to marry one man in their lifetime. And if he's a good man and they're happy, they're done. Even if they're young enough to marry again, they consider it that was your good choice. It's not going to be any better if you marry somebody else. Now, I don't agree with that philosophy. I'm just passing on what my wife has said. And but these women want to make a good choice. I mean, nobody wants to make a bad choice when they get married. And again, not all Filipinos want to marry a man who is living on borrowed time. If he is 70, she is 20, for an extreme example, she would be marrying him for her financial future. What about this? Again, please leave comments and I will try to get to those when I'm done here. While I have a lot to say about age gap relationships being no big deal, there is a point of diminishing returns, don't you think? How is someone that age going to meet her sexual needs? She's a young woman. I mean, you're going to marry a younger woman. You do have a responsibility. She has them. Marriage is supposed to accomplish certain things. And I don't want to be too dogmatic or descriptive tonight, but meeting these needs for each other is a normal component of marriage. It should be. Companionship is something that we all need, but we need physical intimacy too. So you guys that are single, you're missing out. Is it a good thing to know that someone married you only to get them into a better situation? I don't think so. She may want a better situation, but you want her to marry you because she likes something about you. Okay, so with that introduction, here are some characteristics of the type of man any woman would be interested in. I'm not saying I have all of these. This is just something to shoot for. I took the time to call all of these attributes out and arrange them in alphabetical order. And while I'm thinking about it, I should put these in the description box here after the live stream can be uploaded. Okay, it's 5:32. I got to keep moving. Traits, good traits. Think about these. I don't see how we could argue with them. Let's start with affectionate. Type of man a Filipino falls in love with. Affectionate. Be affectionate. Affectionate, especially towards her and her family. Be agreeable. When you're married, you have to have give and take. You can't be a dictator and say, Bob says on Love Beyond the Sea that I am the CEO of the marriage, the head of the marriage, so I get to drop the hammer and say how things are going to be. Well, that's not what I mean, and she will be very unresponsive to that. And you don't want that. Learn to understand her. Learn to work with her. Don't be selfish. Be agreeable. Also, here's another one as we go in alphabetical order. Ambitious. Are you ambitious? If you are, I think you want her to see your ambitious side. Also, be assertive. That doesn't mean being controlling or demanding or domineering. Just think about this. I suppose I could do a short upload on every one of these. Maybe I will. I don't know. But assertive, okay, there's another one. Also, balanced. Try to be balanced. That would be a good thing. Make your Filipino wife feel comfortable, or girlfriend, somebody that you want to be your wife. Be balanced. Be brave. Okay, be a man. Men are strong. They're not afraid to step into situations where they need to have some courage, some bravery. Be brave. Also, having said that, be cautious. Don't be someone that just kind of goes back and forth however the wind blows. Be cautious about things. Use your mind. Be cheerful. Cheerful is important. There's no value in being uncheerful, in thinking that a woman is going to be attracted to that in a sexual way or a non-sexual way. Be cheerful. Another one, be clean. Uh, Go to bed clean. I mean, don't, bathe. Smell nice. Use use cologne. I like one called Club Man. I assume you can still get it. Club Man. That is some good stuff. I smelled it at the barber one time, and I thought, I don't know, it just reminded me. That was a very masculine scent. Club Man. Check that out. I know they have it at Walgreens, and that's just like a drugstore or anywhere else that sells things like that. Club Man, really good smell. I like that. Clean, be composed. Okay, have control of your emotions. Okay, don't be a hothead. I can be a hothead sometimes. I've said that. I've admitted that in my videos. My wife doesn't like that. She doesn't respond to that, and I don't like the cold shoulder. So I need to learn to be composed. Also, be confident. Okay, I don't think these are not things that have to do with your height or how many abs you've got showing or how much money you have, what kind of job you have. Um, just be confident, be conscientious. Also, be considerate. In other words, kind of ties in with being selfish. Don't just think about yourself. Be considerate of your wife, not just, or your girlfriend, Filipina. Don't just be understanding of who she is and what she's like and what her life is like, but be considerate. Bend to her now and then. Help her. Um, that's what it means to be considerate. Don't just consider yourself and do things for yourself. Consider her and do things for her. Be content. It doesn't help to be miserable and always giving off the vibe that you're never going to be satisfied with yourself or her or your life. Try to be content. Another one here, type of man Filipina falls in love with, be cool-headed. That was listed separately from composed, and it's a good one. Be cool-headed. Keep your calm. Be cooperative. Cooperative is important because you need to be a team player in a marriage. Or even if you're dating someone, you want her to show you're a team player. You're not competitive with her. You're cooperative with her. You're trying to be a team. She is your companion. My wife is my best friend. If I haven't put out that video yet, among the 250 or so I have jotted down to make, then that's one of them that's coming up. That she is my best friend, no doubt about it. Another one here on this list: be cordial. Okay, be courageous. Be decisive. Now that's another one that involves a little bit of thought. Being decisive does not mean say, hey, we're not going to talk about it. I know it's best. No, talk to her. Find out what she's thinking, feeling, believing, experiencing. That's how you get to know her. What is she thinking, feeling, believing, experiencing? And make sure you know where she stands. Hon, if we do this, what do you think? Or if we do that, what do you think? Ask her what she should do, because she will have a different perspective that will help you to make decisions. Now, you are in charge, as I've said. You are the man. If you have one of those down there, you are the leader of the relationship. You are the head. That doesn't mean she's your child, doesn't mean she's your employee, doesn't mean she's your slave. But you got to be the one to make the decisions, and you have to be the one to stand by those decisions, even if you're not 1,000% sure you're right. Sometimes you just aren't. You try to make a decision between what is good and best, or good and better, and those are tough. But learn to be decisive, but not until you have talked to her and you're considerate of her feelings. Also, be delightful. That kind of goes along with being cheerful. Be delightful. Don't be a sourpuss. Don't be negative. Also, here's another one: be devoted. I try to be devoted to my wife. I think because of that, people say, "Wow, you're just a simp," and I'm devoted to my wife. I mean, that's it. I've told her, "Hon, you don't have to worry about me going anywhere. I'm with you. I'm behind you 1,000%. You have my backing. You can be yourself. You don't have to be perfect. You can be you. I married you for you. And if I want to receive that from her, then I have to be that way to her. So I have to be devoted to this woman. Be diligent. What I would say about that is be decisive, but don't act too quickly. But be diligent. If you know you have to do something, do it. Don't be lazy. Be diligent. Be hardworking. Another one here: be dutiful. The man who is dutiful is a man who a Filipina can fall in love with. He has a sense of responsibility. If he has a job, he's going to that job every day. He's going to be on time. He's going to bust his butt. He's going to work overtime if it's available. He's not going to be wasteful because he's also going to be thinking about his marriage, his children, his wife, his family. He's going to be dutiful, responsible. I think that's a very attractive thing for a Filipina and a Western man who might not be 6 feet tall with six-pack abs and a six-figure salary. Easygoing. Okay. See, these are just traits people can do. And I have to be honest with you. I tend to be on the intense side, and easygoing would be the last thing to describe me. But I am 59, and wouldn't it be nice to learn the things when we're younger that we learn when we're older? It would be, but I guess the main thing is to learn. Try to be easygoing. She's not going to feel good around somebody that's just making her anxious and afraid. Energetic. A woman doesn't like a man with energy, positive energy. Enthusiasm. Be enthusiastic. I'm going to put all these for you in the description box, and I will try to hurry up here and comment on all your comments later. Just want to try to keep these quick so that we take all the air out of it and not keep you here any longer than we need to. Be enthusiastic. A good leader is enthusiastic. Be even-tempered. Okay, that's going to take some work for some of us, like me. Try to be even-tempered. Be friendly. That's very attractive to a Filipina. Any woman. Try to be funny. You don't have to be Bob Hope or that's going way back. Who are the comedians today that are funny? I don't even know, actually. Can't think of any right now. I think of Steve Martin. I think of Chris Farley, but he wasn't really a comedian. He just, did funny things. You don't have to be cracking jokes all the time, but don't be so serious all the time. I'm talking to myself here too. Be generous. I mentioned that early. Being generous is very sexy to a Filipina. Be gentle. I think being gentle is something that attracts her to a foreign man. Be helpful to her. Be industrious, hardworking, dutiful. Be industrious. Take care of yourself so you can work hard. Inspiring is another word I wrote down here. Jovial helps. Joyous. Kind. Kind is a big one. Very big one for a woman. Level-headed. Okay, if you're going to be a leader, you're going to be in charge, you can't be a hothead. You got to have control of your emotions. You have to go over information, facts, possibilities, evaluate it. I know it's hard sometimes, but try to be level-headed, mature. That's one of the reasons Filipinos say, I want an older man, because he's going to be mature. He may not be mature, but it's a good thing if he is. Mild, I wrote down here, modest, motivated, be motivated. That turns her on. Orderly is not a bad thing. It was on I thought, well, that sounds good. I'll put orderly in here. Outgoing, personality, passionate. We've talked about that in different ways. Be passionate and be patient. I've talked a lot about being patient. When the Bible talks about love, it's the very first thing mentioned, probably the most important thing, 1 Corinthians 13, 4-7. Love suffers long, it's patient. Be peaceful, or try to make peace. Don't be arguing all the time. Be persevering. That's another manly trait. He perseveres. Be playful. That's a good thing. It is. Women don't want a serious guy all the time. Try to be pleasant. Try to be polite. As I said before, try to be positive. Be practical. Be prudent. Be punctual. And I guess I can add to being punctual, not just be where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there, but try to do what you say that you're going to do. Be realistic too. Keep your feet on the ground while you're reaching for the stars, I guess. Be reassuring to her. You are kind of responsible for her, and I think in her growth and development, you're responsible for one person. If you're married, not for a company of 500 employees or more, I'm responsible for my wife. So that's all. I have to do the best I can to lead her and a family, if we had a family. So trying to find my list here. Reassuring, reliable, be respected, be respectful to her. Just a few more. Get rid of this. Be responsible, be sensitive. That's very important. If you're going to have relationships of any kind, friends, work, family, wife, you have to learn to be sensitive. There has to be a certain sensitivity that you bring to the table. Be sensible, okay? Keep your head on right. Sentimental, well, that's nice. If you can remember her, your monthsaries. I've got a video on our monthsaries. Anniversary, of course. My wife just purchased a comforter bedspread thing, and I noticed when I saw it upstairs before I came down here, I saw what looked like the Eiffel Tower. Well, we were in Paris in 2017 for our second anniversary. So, she's sentimental towards that. Eiffel Tower's on our shower curtain. I'm a very sentimental person, so hopefully she is too, because I can relate to that. Now, having said that, being serious is good sometimes too. Serious. Be sincere. Say what you mean what you say. Don't lie. Be spirited. Be stable, steady, strong, sweet, tactful in your words to her. Be thoughtful, tolerant. You're going to have to be patient. That kind of goes there. Vigilant. Keep your eyes out on her, how she's doing, how she's feeling. Make sure she's okay. Be warm-hearted, willing, vulnerable. And one more quality here from A to Z would be, can you guess what that is? Zealous. Be zealous. That's kind of maybe a higher degree of enthusiasm, being enthusiastic. So these are character traits. I think we can do those type of things over time, and they are attractive ones. They describe the type of man who can find love beyond the sea, the type of man who a Filipina will fall in love with. Now, took some time doing that. I want to run over here and find out where I am. Not been doing these live streams. So I guess I keep scrolling up here. So Daniel Pastor, thank you for joining us here. Father Wolst, you can always post a short video announcing your live stream. Yeah, I can. I might do that and then even delete it. Thank you for the thumbs up, by the way. I might do that and then delete it afterwards. I have more videos than I have subscribers, and it's easy to get carried away in those statistics, and it does matter to me. But sometimes it's hard to know just what you can really do to affect some of those. But that's a good idea. Yeah. John says, I get much more respect from Filipinos in general. And, Filipinos are respectful, especially if, like anything else, you treat them right. I don't know that I mentioned humility or humble in that list, but believe it or not, being humble is very sexy to a Filipino, and she can fall in love with a man who doesn't think he's all that. I don't think Filipinos or women in general like men who have large egos. To them, there's nothing attractive about it, and I think they believe that that means he is hiding something if he has a big ego. And I think there's some truth to that. Uh, Al Gibbs, did Al mention something here? Because I missed it, and I'm sorry, Al. I may miss somebody as I turn away, but don't feel bad. I just I don't see your comment here, so I want to keep going here. It's hard for me sometimes to get it moving because I enjoy doing this. So we are here where Melanie Lynn, hi Melanie, is that a pro-Trump head thingy? No, this, it doesn't say make America great again, but this is something I bought in Sturgis. We were at Sturgis, South Dakota, home of the big motorcycle rally where they have, I don't know, 1 million people there over a 2-week period. I hadn't been there in 32 years. I used to live there, used to work there. So that was really cool to see it. And so I said, hon, we got to get a t-shirt. This is probably from Mount Rushmore. Actually, what does it say here? Motorcycle rally down there. And so we got a bandana, and little did I know, there's like 10 different ways to wear one. My wife set this up for me. I trust she knows a little bit more about bandanas than I do. So I said, we're going to try something different tonight, hon. So can you please help me with this? So no, it's not a pro-Trump bandana. I think if I were to do that, that probably would not be good. Now, I said yesterday, I can be controversial sometimes, but you still have to be smart about it. So no, it isn't. Actually, this is the first time I've worn it. So can anyone see me, Melanie? I doubt it. This, by the way, well, I don't know. This is just the old-fashioned live stream. I don't have that. What do you call it? StreamYard. I don't pay anything for that. And so, if that's what you're referring to, no, I cannot see anybody here. Some of you, I know what you look like. Other people, I kind of have to assume, maybe I know what you look like. So maybe some of you know each other. I don't know. Yeah, Phil, I'm a couple. John married a Filipina. They just moved to Cebu. Now, Melanie, fascinated by the whole mail order bride thing. There is no mail order bride that is actually illegal. And thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you for the people here tonight. After a long absence of doing live streams, I just thought, I'm going to do a live stream, see what happens. Mail order bride. There is no such thing. I mean, there was a time, I'm old enough to remember this, when you could get a catalog, probably come in from that business and have lots of pictures and probably not a whole lot else, just very little information. And like anything else, for a man, it starts with physical attraction, and hopefully he's smart enough to think about more than that if he wants to have a marriage that lasts. But physical attraction is important. That's always going to be a selling point for a man, but it cannot be the only one. But what it is today, Melanie, is a guy goes on a dating site, perhaps, maybe Facebook or any number of ways to do it, and he communicates with some woman that he knows nothing about, except she's maybe got light or dark brown skin. She's kind of short, long black hair, pretty. She's a Filipina. We all like, certain characteristics. And though he says, well, he knows she's probably looking for a husband. He just doesn't know if she's looking to scam him or not. And good guys can get taken advantage of. We don't want that to happen. So even before a guy gets married, he's got to be discerning. He's got to be smart enough to get advice, because he can get emotionally involved with a woman and helping her, sending her money. I mean, it does happen. It's very easy to do, and I think it kind of makes him feel good and important and significant and meaningful, and well, he can get taken advantage of that way. So the way it is you just you should get together if you're serious about marriage, like I think you should be. If you want to be happy, happiest, not easiest, happiest, most fulfilled, you get married when you feel like you can trust each other, not when you know everything about each other. I don't know that you ever will. I've been married for 5 years and 9 months, and I'll bet there's things I don't know about my wife. Lots of things I didn't even ask her about, because we got married so fast, really fast, 54 days. I've learned more about her from experience since we've been married. I've learned more about her by asking her questions since we've been married. That's part of the excitement. I mean, it might be a little boring if you spend 5 years to get to know somebody, and then I just don't get that. You've wasted 5 years. I mean, it doesn't take 5 years to know whether somebody is wrong for you. I mean, unless you're talking to 10 women at once or not asking the right questions, I don't think it needs to take that long. But it is fascinating. It is fascinating, Melanie. And I don't know if you're a troll, or I don't know who you are. I don't know. I want to be uh, taking your comments seriously. A lot of guys feel like they're having trouble finding somebody where they are. And so they might be kind of ashamed to try very long distance relationships. I mean, dating somebody in another state to me seemed like an outrageous thing to do, let alone another country, 9,800 miles away. But if you have to, you have to, and it can be done. If the woman is willing and she's a high quality woman, she likes what she knows about you, and you are committed, and the relationship is going to take work. It might take more work and effort than anything you'll ever do in your life in that relationship. I'm not here to tell you just marry a Filipina, life will be easy. Like my wife would tell you, don't marry a Westerner and your life will just, or don't marry a Westerner and your life will be easy. No, that's not how that is. Um, but no, I met my wife on a dating site, lots of help. You can ask questions, you can ask them questions. If I felt like something didn't seem right, I would just call up the dating site and say, well, what did this mean when she said this, or she responded that way, or she didn't respond? What does that mean? And they'll even call them up and discreetly talk to them. Christian Filipina was the place I met my wife on. So it's different than it used to be, thankfully. Thankfully, you can still find a wife overseas if that's what you need to do. John's been married for 6 years now. Must have been married right around the time we were, John. Recently moved to Cebu, met online. Yeah, didn't consider it mail order bride. I didn't either. And maybe some people that that know you're doing that will consider it that way. There are a lot of misconceptions about it. I think it's a very legitimate way to find a wife. Yeah, Father Wolf says, Melanie, some men meet future wives on YouTube from friends, connected channels, anyway, family, friends, just anyway. I'm just for people getting married, Melanie. I'm for the men being a certain way. I don't like women being used. I don't think men use women. I think real men protect women, and real men are good to them, and real men build them up, and real men make them feel safe and loved and protected, and you know that's just a great endeavor. I love that that's on my so-called job description. Scuba diving. John says you're looking for information on the best scuba diving in Cebu province. She wasn't a diver, but still answered my questions. It can start anyway, just like that. Scuba diving, I don't know. I'd rather scuba dive than jump out of a plane at, 10,000, 15,000 feet. Maybe it's not on my bucket list. Maybe I'll do scuba diving someday. Phil says, Father Wills, most of the foreigner American couples we know did not meet on a dating site. Some people think it's a bad way to meet somebody. I do not. I think it's a way. If you're in the Philippines, by all means, you probably do not need a dating site. That's what they say. I do not live there. I've been there 4 times with my wife. We plan on going there this year, but we're going to have to wait for some things to change. I don't want to be cooped up for 7 days in Manila and then cooped up in our bedroom in our house for 7 days when we have, I don't know, if we can squeeze out 28-day vacation, including travel on both sides. That would eat up a lot of time. I'm not crazy about that. Sing karaoke, John. Well, it wasn't an exhaustive list. That would be in the K's. Karaoke. Now, my wife would tell you, John, despite the incontrovertible proof on my videos where I am singing karaoke, that I can sing. But she would not have married me based on my crooning abilities. And we did sing together, excuse me, in the Philippines for the first time. It's amazing when I sing in the Philippines, those little lizards, they just go scattering out of the house. It's amazing. I don't even know where they are. I start singing and they start leaving. It's just something about the way I do karaoke. But let me tell you, seriously, karaoke, if you're a guy and you're with a Filipina, just be prepared for the karaoke, because I think it's fun. Now, was I scared to death? Yes, of course I was scared to death, even with my great singing voice. But I kind of shied away from it. When we have people over here, you see the karaoke machine here, and we bring people down here, and my wife brings it upstairs. Everybody just freezes up when they see that, and we're thinking now, come on, guys, get with it. This is fun. But people, even relatives, are just kind of, I just don't like karaoke. I think it's fun. Get some hard rock song, from 80s or 90s and start singing to it, or your favorite songs from the 70s. If you can do karaoke, that's good. That's a personality trait that I think will endear you to a Filipina. So thank you, John, for helping me out with that one. Parabiology 101. Thanks for coming back here today. I appreciate that. Father Wolf says the wrong type of women like big egos. Yeah, it's just, I don't know, it makes me uncomfortable. When I think of big egos, the first thing I think of is sports, because I'm a big sports fan. And, a lot of guys have swagger or they have big egos. And I don't like show-offs in sports. I mean, I've always liked the guy that gets the ball, rams it down your throat, scores a touchdown, and then hands the ball off to the referee and trots back to the sideline. To me, that's what a real man does. He just hammers you and scores. But the show-offs got to do dances and spikes and all kinds of clever stuff that, what's the point? What is the point? Do your job, get back to work, and I just don't like those attitudes. Living here in the Midwest, we like, hard-nosed, blue-collar type teams. That's what we like here in Nebraska. We need to start winning, that's for sure. But big egos do not make people comfortable. And the right woman, that's a turnoff. Do not mistake big ego for being confident. Confidence is good. Timid, a lack of confidence is not helpful. But being, like I said, being humble. You can be humble and confident at the same time. Okay, there's a double-edged sword there. If you can learn to be confident and humble at the same time. So thank you, Parabiology, for that comment, or excuse me, Father Wolfs, and thank you for your comment, Parabiology. Now we have here, as I move right on. Oh, Melanie says, I was in Thailand once, saw a lizard on the elevator door. I hightailed it back to my room, started crying, called the front desk. You may have seen, I don't know, a real lizard. Thank you for the thumbs up. I appreciate that. The lizards I'm talking about, I don't know what they're called. I can be safe calling them a house lizard. A house lizard. And when I was in the Philippines the first time and I saw those things, I mean, I didn't know what to think. I thought, hey, you got something on your wall over there. Hey, that thing just ran across there. You know, you can even hear them sometimes, and nobody bats an eye. Okay, my wife says they're not harmless, or they're not harmful. They're harmless. They're probably afraid of you. John would know. I mean, they largely just stay out of sight, although they do appear once in a while. They probably eat some bugs. I know they can be dangerous. Let's say if they get in your food, you know, that potentially you might get sick. But you know, hopefully that's the worst thing I see in the Philippines is those little house lizards. They're only about this big, maybe, from what I remember. Kind of cute actually, but they're so quick you can't even get too close to them. But Melanie, good to have you here tonight. Good to have everybody here tonight. I'm going to wrap this up unless somebody would like to make another comment. I am Bob from Love Beyond the Sea. Those links above there, you can go to my website. Mr. E cared enough about what I'm trying to do here to put in the work to design that, I think, fantastic website, lvbts.com. There's a link there for signing up to Podbean, so you can get podcasts if you don't like to watch videos. You know, if you want to listen to a podcast when you're, I don't know, driving your car, doing your shopping in the gym, walking around, that sort of thing. I have podcasts. Why? Why do I care? Well, because I care about my viewers. I'm not trying to entertain you. I just, you know, I found marriage to be a more wonderful experience than I was anticipating. It's not easy, of course, but I want to help you. What I learned that's kind of hard, I make a mistake, I blow it, well, we'll talk about it. You know, I'm not going to throw my wife under the bus, but I want to have a channel that helps people go deep into the marriage relationship. I want you to be more confident, maybe, than you might be if you've been on the shelf for a while, like I was, that you can actually have a good relationship. There are lots of men who don't have six-figure salaries, six-pack abs, 6 feet tall. They're working. Their wives are working. She's probably going to want to work. And she's probably not going to want to rely on you because she will feel bad about that. And if she doesn't send money herself, she's probably going to feel shame. There's a lot of pressure societally, right or wrong, about that sort of thing. So try to be understanding when she wants to send money back home, and she kind of has to. Doesn't mean she doesn't get frustrated. You should ask her once in a while, sweetheart, are you okay with this? You know, are you feeling any pressure about that? And John says, got a picture of a tuku. Okay, kind of geckos here. Is that what they call it? Now, wait a minute. Foot long, hanging at our bedroom wall the night of our wedding. Well, John, I haven't seen anything like that in our house. My luck, I would probably end up swallowing it or something. That just sounds absolutely terrifying. Thank you for everybody here tonight. It's a pleasure to have you here. I'll going to try on these live streams, maybe doing every couple of weeks, try to move a little bit faster. But there was a lot to say today about kind of man a Filipina falls in love with, and that's what you want, right? You want her to fall in love with you. Good luck sign. Don't tell Isa that. How to Hawaiian. Thank you. Let me delete this thing here. Thanks for being here, How to Hawaiian. But how to, if you got a comment, question, something going on, something you want to just say, please do. I appreciate your nice, kind comments on my channel. I do appreciate that, and I thank everybody for being here tonight. I do want to help again, men, to find a wife. When I grew up meaning 20s, 30s, 40s, I did not find men that felt like I did and said, "Yeah, Bob, you need to get married, man. What are you doing?" It was almost either hands off or trying to tell me that being single is the greatest. I just want people to know what they're going to get from Love Beyond the Sea. I have a marriage channel. It's a biblical channel. And, I don't want to step on anybody's toes, but I do want people to be uncomfortable if they're alone and they've got this feeling that they need to be married, because you probably do. And I had to wait till 53. I don't want you to wait till you're 53 to get married. I mean, I'm glad I did. My channel is about marriage. I can talk some about the dating, and because I had to date my wife, although it was very quick, we had to continue to be without each other for about 8 months, that visa experience. So the long distance thing, I went through that with her, getting to talk to a younger woman, and how nerve-wracking that might be. I got videos on the online experience and doing webcams. It's just something that you have to be able to do. Now, Melanie, you say, I don't know how I feel about this stuff. As a female, I can help but feel women get the short end of the stick. And Melanie, there's a lot of men that want to take advantage of women. Those are not real men. They may have male genitalia, but they're not real men. A real man, like I said before, wants to build up a woman, wants to encourage her, wants her to feel special. I know, I get it from people that say, Bob pedestalizes his wife, Bob worships his wife, or no man would want, or no woman would want to be with a man who idolizes his wife. Well, I can tell you, on these times where my wife isn't happy with me, she doesn't feel that I feel that way about her. I try to defer to her. She is my wife. She's only got one husband in the whole wide world. That's me. I feel a responsibility to her family. And I know John does too. You love her family. Well, you want to be good to her. You want them to know you're taking care of her. You want her to know and tell her family, Bob takes care of me. My husband is good to me. My husband doesn't take advantage of me. So Melanie, there are women that get the short end of the stick. What the woman has to do is try to be perceptive enough to avoid getting into a situation with a man who is trying to take advantage of her. That would not be included in the topics or the characteristics that I mentioned earlier. Thank you, everybody, for being here and for the thumbs up again. I will put those in the description box, because I think that's an excellent list of characteristics. That you don't have to have hair. You can be bald. You don't have to have a lot of money or six-pack abs and all that stuff. And you can still be appealing to the things that are appealing still to women. Yes, there's a lot of a movement, I guess, I don't know, almost to hate men or to elevate women, feminism. But there are good women out there if you can find them, and you got to treat them right. And a woman can give you something nobody else can, companionship, love, intimacy, future, fulfillment, satisfaction. I just don't see that happening when you're alone. I think very highly of women. I think very highly of Filipinas. The Bible tells a husband to die for her. Husbands, love your wives, even also as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for it. Any woman who is married to a man who says, "Hun, I have marching orders to do what's best for you, take care of you, give my life up for you," that woman is not going to feel shafted. And that woman is probably going to take care of that guy, because women are still responders, and they respond to strong leadership, not dominance or being domineering or anything like that. And maybe it takes a while to understand all this, and you probably haven't heard it a lot from guys, but yeah, you got to take care of that little woman, and you got to value her, and she needs to know that she's not going to get the short end of the stick. She needs to know her husband is just crazy about her. Melanie said, "I just think that a woman that much younger can't be that attracted." I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. Just my opinion, and that's understandable. I mean, I think women are, like, let's say I mentioned earlier in this live stream, like 20 and 70-year-old age gap. Some situations are more obvious than others. If the guy is taking care of himself, that's good. I think women are more forgiving than men are when it comes to the looks department, and the characteristics that I've been talking about are important, and the attraction, it's different. I mean, my wife and I are fine. We're doing well. What I can capitalize on, since I'm not 22 years old and she's not either, she's 32, is take care of myself, but also love her the best I can. I have to excel in what I can excel on, and try to take care of myself, try to make myself as attractive to her, physically or emotionally, mentally, as I can. And I'm a man. No man wants to think that his wife is grossed out by him or something. He wants to please her. And well, that's just one of those things. Melanie, men want to marry because we have this strong drive for intimacy, and it's just, there's so much significance in that it almost is hard to explain. I mean, it's almost, like most important thing in some of our lives is to know that you still have it and you can still please her. And if she is not attracted to somebody, that's up to her whether she wants to marry him. She still has needs as a younger woman. I think a lot of people don't understand that. A younger woman has needs. She's a young woman, and you should do your best to please her any way you can. But Melanie, I don't know your situation. I do hope that you can find a good man, a young man, if you're a young woman. I think men should get married young, and they should marry young women when they're young. If they're older and they can get a younger woman and they can take care of her, the Bible is silent on that. It just talks about responsibilities that I have to my wife, that my wife has to me. Choices, that's up to you. That's up to each person who we want to marry. And then John says, okay, so because you can't, they must not be able to either. Is that what you're saying? Yeah, there are, age gaps. I wanted a younger woman. I make no bones about it, and I'm glad I did. My wife has a lot of energy. She's very bright, and I don't know what I would do without her. I really don't. Just so you know, Melanie, that here on love beyond the sea. I am all for the man being good to his wife. He only has one woman that he has to please, and that's enough to please another person and to take care of her through thick and thin. That's it. Just one woman, and I do want them to be treated right because that's best for the man. That's best for him too. That's best for them. Yeah, it's different. Melanie, age gap, United States of America, where I am, 20 years plus, it's about 1%. So I imagine 27 years is going to be far less than 1%. And I'm not saying they all work out. I'm not saying everybody get yourself a young wife and everything will be fine. What I am saying is if you want a younger wife, know what you're getting into because it's not always easy. John says his in-laws, 12-year age gap, Philippines. Yeah, Melanie, women do have a strong sex drive. They should. They have it longer than we do. A man peaks out somewhere in his 20s. A woman, early to mid 30s. She's still a wonderful young woman. And strong sex drive is a good thing. It's something to be appreciated. Yeah, the age isn't a high priority, and we're not going to get into all that. Again, my only concern with the age gap relationships is the same as any other relationship. Just how to treat her, how to take care of her, how to lead her, and that should give you the best response. If you don't treat her well, she will respond, and probably not going to be the way you like it to be. Thank you, Melanie. I appreciate that. Yeah, attracted, Melanie. Like I said in this live stream, I think there's lots of things that a man can do for himself to be attractive. A lot of that is personality. I mean, personalities can be attractive. I mean, if she's going to be married to somebody for the rest of her life, she doesn't want a negative, brooding, sour, melancholy person to be around and to show her friends. Filipinos don't give me the impression they're like that. I mean, these are attractive qualities. So try to work on these things. Realize these are good things. They're good for you. They're good for her. They're good for your, children. It's just good. So, yeah, Parabology is saying there are age gaps in Filipino relationships. His fiance's sister was married to a man 17 years older than her. Another Filipino. There certainly is. But again, I don't want to say one is right or wrong, better or worse. What I care about, regardless of what age you pursue, and whoever marries you, just focus on how the game plan, okay, how you treat each other. That's what I talked about to my wife when I met her online. I said, "Hun, as you can tell, I didn't say hun maybe right away before we got engaged, but I said, I'm here to get married. I've been alone a long time. This is what I want. This type of marriage I think works. What do you think about that?" And if she was to say, "Oh, that's not something I agree with. I'm more liberal," or something like that, fine, we go our separate ways. It just so happened, I guess she liked what I was saying, and I try to hold myself accountable. I even tell my wife, "Hon, if I get out of line, tell me, okay? If I disappoint you, tell me. Okay, if I've done something wrong, let me know. Don't yell, don't make a big deal out of it, but just point it out, hon. I didn't like what you did or said or whatever. And I'd be glad to think about it, but I need to know if I've hurt her. And of course, if I know I've hurt her and I haven't said anything, I need to get better at apologizing. Yeah, there's always exceptions. And again, whether those age gap relationships are working or not, come down to two people, the husband, the wife, the man, the woman. That's it. Some things work better than others. I want to try to unveil or talk about the things that I have found to be successful in my marriage. I know, Melanie, the economics of it. Um, it is what it is, and having said that, Melanie, I again always the man needs to respect her. That's his wife. He needs to take care of her, whether it's medical or she needs to see something or do something or learn something or experience something. I think if at all possible, he needs to be there and support her. He's shooting himself in the foot if he doesn't. And again, I wish, I wish I had my choice. All young Filipinas could marry younger men, younger men that could be with them for the next 40, 50 years of their life, get married at 18 and stay married, have a family. Unfortunately, that's not always the way it works in life. And so, as we know, um, if a Filipina feels that the men her age have not been trustworthy, she's not avoiding men her own age out of a bias. She probably feels that she's got reasons to believe that that's not the way she should go. She could always stay alone the rest of her life. I do not want a Filipina, because I think they make outstanding wives, to be taken advantage of. I'm very pro Filipina. Um, I want to be good to her because I love her. There's nobody else supposed to love my wife, just me. How to Hawaiian says, I see famous people of both genders in large age gap relationships here in the West. I'm not an advocate of age gap relationships, but I don't judge them either. Yeah, you don't see that a lot here, and I'll bet there's people when they found out I married my wife that, I don't know, probably gave me the silent treatment, maybe talked behind my back. I've done videos on that. Maybe it's going to be your own friends. Maybe it's going to be your own family. They're going to have misgivings about what you did. They're going to judge your motives. And, you know, just if you're a Filipina, don't allow yourself to get taken advantage of. I think, I don't know if I said it here before, but I think Filipinas need to be more discerning, make better choices. Some of the guys they go out with, I think, they could probably do better. Do they feel pressured because of the money situation to get married fast? Marriage is for life. I mean, come on. They need to marry guys with the characteristics I talked about, guys that care about her. But I understand the tension that is there, Melanie. I really do. I really do. I want the Filipina to get the best that she can. Now I need to catch up here. And I won't comment on everything because I said I wanted to keep it short, but that kind of depends what's going on and who's there and how much time they have to talk and what they're saying. Yeah, Melanie says, I think if it happens when a woman chooses it freely, i.e. doesn't need money at all, then it is best. And I'm all for that, Melanie. Nobody should marry out of obligation or necessity for finances. Now, once that has occurred, you know, he needs to do the best he can to be the best husband he can. She needs to be the best wife she can. I wish they would take their time. I mean, I think it is sad to see some of these relationships. For example, when we have gone to the Philippines 4 times, one of the things I like to do in Manila when we're sitting there in the airport, Melanie, is I look at couples. Because for the longest time in Davao City, I didn't really see a lot of Westerners. I did this last time, but when we go to Manila, you see all these couples, and I don't know, sometimes it just, makes you a little uncomfortable. And I hate seeing anybody taken advantage of. I don't want to be taken advantage of. I don't want, I don't want anybody to be taken advantage of. And sometimes I think these women, well, they, again, that's their choice. Nobody's forcing them to marry a guy that's, 50 years older than she is. She can't help her financial situation. I think the man should do everything he can to be good to that woman. I mean, I think most people would agree with that. I'm not saying, hey, who cares if these young Filipinas like the marriage? It's all about the man. No, it's not. It's all about me and my responsibility to be the best I can to my wife. And then I'm going to be a happy guy. Melanie, but you can't say it is what it is when you are exploiting it. And I certainly don't want, like I said, I don't want people taken advantage of. Yeah, Melanie, you'd have to get together with some of these gentlemen and sit around and talk. But it's a contentious topic, okay? I just want to be understood. I have a responsibility. Once the decision has been made that we are married, I have a responsibility to her. I have a responsibility to her family. I have a responsibility to God. So there's a lot of pressure on me. And I'm just glad I found my wife. I want to be very good to her. Yeah, if she has her own money, much better in my eyes. Well, that's fine. My wife has her own money. She's been working here. She has her own 401k and her own, checking account, 401k, investments. She's here long enough. She'd be able to get some Social Security someday. I just don't know if we're going to be here for 10 years. But let's try to keep it on topic. This really isn't about age gap, and there's some things that you just can't, may have to agree that you just can't agree on. Yeah, her whole family back home depends on it. That's probably true, Melanie, in most cases. I married into that. I had to know that when I married, and therefore when the family needs help, I have to understand that. That's my wife's family. I love them very much, and I want to be good to them. They do. I think I understand what you're saying, Melanie, but I want to keep moving on here. Melanie says, John, maybe there is real love there now. Maybe it can develop over time. I just don't think it's fair. She has to be with a man for a time that she is not into at all. And I wish, Melanie, that she wouldn't have to. I mean, I wish she could find Brad Pitt lookalikes and marry them. But sometimes those Brad Pitt lookalikes don't make very good husbands or boyfriends. And Hollywood marriages seem to be in trouble all the time. But Melanie, for your information, I'm one of the few people that has said, young men, get out there, go to the Philippines. Maybe after a point, make that your priority to look for a younger wife in the Philippines. Don't wait till you're 53. Why should anyone wait that long? They're almost dead at that point. Get married when you're young and enjoy it. Enjoy that woman. But if younger men are going to be here thinking, oh, I'll find somebody, what happens is a lot of times they get through their 20s and, I haven't found somebody. What am I going to do now? And then they hear people say, well, you can't go overseas. Only losers do that. Well, then they're going to wait even longer until, well, maybe I have to do this. I know from looking on dating sites, there are young Filipinas who want a young man. Let's say she's 22. She'll want somebody 20 to 22. Very fair. Or maybe she's 25 and she wants someone 23 to 27. Well, if you're 23 or 27, contact her. You're going to find yourself a great wife, perhaps. Time matters. It doesn't slow down. Sure, it seems it's the same amount of time. It just doesn't seem like it. It goes by fast. Your opportunities start to wane. Young men, go out there and find yourself a young wife. I'm not telling young men to not find young wives. I'm not telling older men to only find young wives. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying, here's what you have to know about an age gap relationship. Here are the benefits. Here are the challenges. Here's how I think the woman needs to be treated. Okay, any marriage, any woman. I don't really think I have an axe to grind as much as I'm trying to say, hey, get married and stay married. I'd like to help with how, not just how to meet a Filipina. What are you going to do with her? You're going to have the right mindset about her and see her the right way. But yeah, real love, it can develop over time. I believe it can. I mean, yes, you'll say my wife is younger. Of course I love her. Well, if she's not a good woman, you think I'm going to have the type of feelings I have for her that I do now? She's 32 now. And I have stronger feelings for her now than when we got married. But we got married, really fast. And I have stronger feelings for her now. Why? Because we've been together for 5 years and 9 months, and I'm devoted to her. I'm going to have stronger feelings for her. Parabiology says my girl can do well enough on her own without me, so it's not just for my money. Yes, it will be a big step up for her, but she could do quite well on her own regardless. Thank you for that comment. And Melanie, yeah, I can't believe a 20-year-old falls in love with a 50-year-old. Maybe she can't. I don't know. I can tell you this, once you're married, you got to stay that way. Once you're married, if you want to have a good life, you got to invest yourself in that woman. And she would do well to invest herself and respect her husband. And, there's challenges in relationship. My wife isn't always thinking I'm the greatest, thing since sliced bread. If she doesn't understand why I say something I do, or why I, act kind of intense and scare her, and not really trying to. Yeah, Humphrey Bogart, Lauren Bacall, look it up. She was what, parabiology, a teenager? Humphrey Bogart, probably in his early 40s, a big star. Now, I don't know what kind of marriage they had. It doesn't matter to me. Again, I'm more about how to treat each other, not how old you should be. I happen to have an age gap marriage. Well, that's great. But I have responsibilities that probably wouldn't have if she was my age. Now, how to Hawaiian? Come on. You're going to get blocked by YouTube for those comments here about yourself. I'm sure that none of those things are true. Well, Melanie, maybe we are a little delusional, but some of us are in those age gap relationships. And since it's my show, all I can do is try to establish and stress what I feel about it. The views and opinions on Love Me on the Sea are strictly mine. I cannot I don't have disciples or anything like that. I'm just saying this is what I feel. I feel comfortable with this. This is what I try to do. And, tell you what works and what doesn't. But how to Hawaiian, I'm still pulling for you. I mean, come on, if think about those qualities. I'm going to put them in there in the description. Just add 5 of those, 7 or 8 of those, and build on those. And those are attractive qualities. I'm not sure how attractive I was with my attitude before I got married because I had no experience. I've had to learn all of this since we got going. So don't be so hard on yourself. How to Hawaiian, or John may have to block you for those very negative comments. So don't do that. Let me see here. I'll try to keep it going. Melanie, if I were a Western man, I might also want Asian. Melanie, since I've been young, meaning 20s, I've heard of the lore and the lure of Asian women. I always heard, marry Asian. Want a good wife, marry Asian. First experience I ever had with that, we went to dinner sometime. A friend of mine asked me over there. One of the reasons I remember was because the food, I could not stand the food. And I had this mouthful of food I kept putting in. I couldn't find a way to, I was looking for a way, hey, look over there and, take it out or something. I don't know if it's the vinegar or the soy or something, but I just couldn't stand it. And I'm thinking, how does this guy like eating this food all the time? But this man had the happiest expression of sheer contentment on his face with this Asian woman. I never forgot it. I didn't go out and look for an Asian woman because I was thinking, well, I should be able to find somebody around here. Well, it just didn't happen. Now, hold on here. Somebody is contacting me. Oh. I'm like John, I appreciate your moderation. I'm going to try to move this along because I like to keep them fast, and I really don't want anybody blocked as much as possible because we have different opinions. So I'll try to move along here. Talking about children, birth defects. Yeah, I know that's something we're probably not going to have to deal with now, unfortunately. Well, Melanie, I honestly and sincerely do hope, don't know how old you are, that you will find somebody that will be good to you and love you, because time waits for no one. I certainly hope you can find that. Asian women make great wives. Melanie, thanks for being here. Thanks for keeping things interesting. Thanks for your opinions. Do appreciate that. Parabiology says it's true that a man's potential children not as healthy as he gets older. I think that's true. Which gives a man even more incentive to find a younger woman so that she can help make up for his DNA decay. Some people think that the issue with birth defects is more on the women's side than the men's side, but our sperm, I guess, degrades, for a better word, over time. And I'm sure there are men in their 70s that got married and had children. But then there are men in their 20s that have birth defects. But that could be something in his genes. That could be something in the woman and her genes. And, well, that's just something that you have to take a chance with, I guess, if you're older. How to Hawaiian, thank you for joining me tonight. Parabiology, Melanie Lynn, how to again. And scrolling back up here, John, Phil's to Phoenix. And I know early on here we were joined a little bit. Hopefully they were still here for a while. It's just getting too long to scroll up there. So that's very satisfying. Thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you for the people still here viewing tonight. Maybe in a couple of weeks we'll have another live stream. Don't want to get too bent out of shape about the age gap thing. I mean, some people have strong feelings about it. All I'm going to say about that is women have the right to not marry somebody that's older. They have the right to wait for somebody that's good for them. And that's all they can do is put themselves in the position to attract the best man that she can, because she's probably not going to be able to propose to somebody. That's what the men do. And whether it's Melanie or anyone else, I hope people find what they're looking for. I found what I'm looking for. I don't want people to get taken advantage of. Some age gap relationships are fine. Some age gap relationships are not. Like anything else, isn't it? I just want to focus on, choices, responsibilities, as I see it, and how we're learning in our marriage. Yeah, women get to choose. We all get to choose who we want. Sometimes we feel like we don't have a choice, even as a man. And there are women in some of these countries, like the Philippines, that say, "Well, I don't have a choice." And I'm not God. I can't change that. Ultimately, the best of everything in life is going to be in the next one, not this one. We just have to do the best we can with our lives where we are. Yeah, a woman who's in her 20s, old enough to make up her own mind when she marries and dates. I think what Melanie is getting at is just not the aesthetics, but just the fact that there is an age gap, which is unusual. I get that. Um, and if a woman said to me, "You're too old for me. I'm not interested in you," I would understand that. I would not hold that against her. Who isn't attracted to younger women? That's their prime. A woman's beauty is something she should try to parlay into commitment from the right type of man. That's why just getting banged by guys is not the right type of guy. She needs to hold out, and a woman needs to say, no, marry me and you can have me. Even so, she still has to find a guy with character, or she's not going to be happy. Can she find that in an older man? She might. That might be her only option. And so that's just the way it is. Just, from a man's perspective, as I feel like I'm going to pass out here, sitting too long, I think. For a man's perspective, be sensitive to the woman. Take care of her physically. That's your obligation. Be good to her. Do anything you can to please her that way. And be good to her. Be good to her family, like you would want to do with any wife. Be glad if you can find a younger woman, but that younger woman may be not a good choice for you to marry. Everybody's got choices. You got kind of like you got one bullet. You want to use it and aim it well. If you're a woman, to the right man, to the man, to the right woman. I think age gap relationships are very good for some. Again, at some point, I think there's diminishing returns, and it's just too big of an age gap, and then the woman doesn't feel like she's with a guy that can please her. Maybe she ends up being more of a caretaker early on than she would like. And again, I would prefer that all these younger women find the young man that they are looking for. And it's frustrating for them when they can't. If they feel like they're not responsible, then if she's smart, she'll do the next best thing. That's to find a responsible, caring, older guy. I'm not saying to older men to take advantage of these young women have the greatest respect for that woman. I don't care if she's what nationality she is. If she's your wife, you better take care of her. And although I didn't want to get into the age gap, let's just accept the fact that some people have misgivings about them. I just want to be able to see the pluses and minuses about it. And I mean, it's a fascinating topic. It is. Just want people to stay together. That includes how to Hawaiian, and if he can get over his inferiority complex with his looks. I know you're kidding, how to. But I appreciate everybody being here tonight. I certainly did not plan on being on for an hour and 50, but it's only 6:50. Now you can go to your favorite YouTube live streams and watch them. What I want to give you guys, as much as I can, is topic matter that we stay on topic with. If I say I'm going to talk about this, I want to talk about that extensively. But if you want to talk about other things, I'm willing to do that too. I just, want us to get along and stuff like that. So Parabiology 101, thank you for being here. Thank you everybody for being here. Maybe in a couple of weeks we do this again. It's going to be record cold out here in the Midwest. Hopefully you guys are all going to do well where you are and have a good weekend. We'll try to do shorter on the live streams, but I don't want to turn anybody away if people want to talk. So, how to Hawaiian. Let's leave on a good note here, as I noticed up here. You're just joking. I thought you were. I'm a unicorn and I know it. Now, how to Hawaiian then would be able to appeal to any number of women as a unicorn. I did not list unicorn because those are really rare, but good for how to Hawaiian. Hopefully next time I do a live stream how to, you can give us a good news that you found somebody. Hopefully. Thank you for joining me tonight. Thank you for trying to be civil. Until next time, this is Bob for Love Beyond the Sea.